Welcome back to Beyond the Wormhole and Kerbal Space Program, where we're exploring the Kcalbeloh system from the Kcalbeloh Planet Pack Mod with stock parts. And today we're going to the asteroid moon Enots that orbits in the rings of Ahneta, which is a blue gas giant in the Aralc binary star system. Here we have our rocket on the launch pad. There we have liftoff. So this is actually going to be part one of a two-part episode mission, because after we go to the asteroid moon Enots, we're going to be continuing further into the Aralc binary system, and we're going to land on the desert moon Atpan as well, and then return to Kerbal, all with this same rocket here that I'm flying. Yeah, so this will be part one. We'll fly to Enots, land, and then part two we'll go to Atpan, land, do all that stuff, and come back. But here I am, just building up speed, starting to kick out of the thicker parts of the atmosphere. Looks like we're heating up a little bit. We just detached our final set of side boosters, and we're just going to be continuing our burn till we can pick our apoapsis above the atmospheric boundary. And then we'll circularize and then set up our trajectory towards Sarnus, which is the Saturn analog of the Kerbal system. If you have Outer Planets mod installed, it'll put the wormhole, the Kcalbeloh mod will put the wormhole around Sarnus if you have Outer Planets mod installed. If you don't have Outer Planets mod installed, it'll just put it around Joule. So either one is fine. I just play with Outer Planets mod because I think it's a really cool, like, stock-alike expansion to the Kerbal system. It comes with like a Sarnus, I guess that's a Saturn analog, a Uranus analog, and a Neptune analog. It's all really cool. And they even got like a Pluto analog. Yeah, it's good. I highly recommend it. And we've got our apoapsis above the atmospheric boundary, and we're just building up some horizontal speed, starting to circularize that orbit, and we'll do a final just mini circularization burn as we finish coasting to our apoapsis here. Then we will go on to start setting up our transfer to Sarnus, like I was saying before. Looks like we've got everything nice and circularized. Now I have to look at setting up my transfer window to Sarnus. So there's Joule, and the one that I just set as my target, that's Sarnus. It's like the tannish line out past Joule. And so I'm not exactly sure what the transfer angle is, but it's like maybe 10 to 15 degrees past 90 degrees, or like what, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, you can just pause that and see where my angle is. But since it's past Joule, it's going to be, and Joule is about a 90 degree transfer angle. Sarnus is just going to be a little bit past that. And it looks like we got actually lined up almost perfectly here. We have an intercept without even having to change our inclination. So it's going to be a really good intercept, this mission. And I just have to warp around to my burn, and then we'll have to split it into a few different smaller burns because I don't have the thrust to weight ratio to do it all in one go. We just expended that our first kind of like tug booster stage, and now we are fully into our nuclear stage interplanetary transfer craft. So this is just our second pass. I'm going to be jettisoning these empty tanks as I go along here to keep my delta V as efficient as possible. And it looks like we've just reached escape velocity through the Kerbal system. And looks like I still have about 1,400, or no, that's 14,388 meters per second. That's a lot. And we're just going to start setting up that interplanetary burn to kick the rest of our orbit up to intercept Sarnus. And so it's going to be kind of a long burn. This took me like 30 minutes, but I'm playing it back at like, I don't know, way faster speed, just to make that a little bit more watchable. But you can see I'm still staging these empty fuel tanks. As I empty them, that's how I can keep my my delta V so high, as I'm trying to get rid of as much dead weight as soon as it's empty of all its wet fuel mass, I mean. And so we've just intercepted Sarnus, and we're still going to have to do a few maneuvers to set up our flyby. What we're going to have to do here is an inclination change. Looks like I'm already really close to the descending node. You're going to want to do your inclination changes either at your descending node or your ascending node if you want to match inclination. And I'm already at the descending node, but since I'm so close to Kerbin, it's not the most ideal situation, but it's okay. I just set the wormhole as my target that orbits Sarnus. And I'm just going to warp out of Kerbin's sphere of influence, and then I'm going to work on that that mid-course correction so I can set up my flyby through the wormhole. So this light gray orbit, kind of like further out, that's the wormhole. I just selected it as my target, and I'm just going to be fiddling with the radial nodes and the retrograde nodes so that I can set up a close encounter, and then I will adjust my flyby. I think to like jump through the wormhole you have to be below 30,000 meters. Yeah, so I'm just time warping out there. It takes a few years to get out to Sarnus. Alright, time to do that mid-course correction burn. There we've got our intercept with the wormhole. Alright, and we still got to warp all the way out there for an extra 2 years. Okay, now that we're a little bit closer, I'm going to try to adjust my flyby so that I get just like a thread the needle type trajectory through the wormhole. You don't actually have to circularize around it to enter it, so I'm just going to try to fly straight through it. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to get a trajectory that's on the same plane, the inclination plane, as the wormhole's orbit, and drop my periapsis below 30,000 30,000 meters. Yeah. Or 30,000 meters. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'll warp ahead till I enter the Sarnus system, and we should be able to see it here coming up soon. Alright, there's Sarnus on our left, and we should be able to see the wormhole in just a second. And there it is. About to enter. Okay, we've passed through onto the other side, into the Kcalbeloh system. I just have to go into the tracking station and re-establish tracking with my craft. And it looks like it's put me into like a retrograde escape vector out of the Sarah system, which is that ringed planet right behind the wormhole there. Yeah, so we're going to be exiting this system and just going into a solar orbit around Sunorc, which is the star that all these planets orbit. And if I set up an escape trajectory out of the Sunorc system, I can jump up to the Aralc binary system that I just set as my target. So there's a transfer window for the Sunorc to the Aralc binary system. There's a transfer window for that. It's about 72 to 73 degrees. So I'm going to try to set that up right now. I always just eyeball it. It's about 90. Let's do a bit more. Okay, that looks pretty good. So I'm just gonna start another escape burn there we've got our encounter with the Aralc binary system already. I just have to do a massive prograde burn to escape the Sunorc system, and jump up to get that intercept into the Aralc binary star system there. That looks like it's going to be a 23-minute burn for 3,400 meters per second of delta V. And so I'm not going to be staging some of my tanks at this point because I actually want to hold on to that storage space for later. You might see on the top of my rig there a little mining module. We're going to be rendezvousing with an asteroid in the rings of Ahneta, where we can use that mining rig to mine some of the water in the asteroid and turn it into hydrogen fuel. So yeah, so we'll be able to refuel. That's why I'm holding on to these tanks for just a little while longer. And I'm doing an inclination change just to line up with the Aralc binary system a little bit later on. So there's my trajectory. It's really highly inclined, so that's not good. We're going to have to fix that. What we're going to be aiming for is a gravity assist off of the smaller star in this binary pair to capture around the system as a whole. So it'll be kind of like you see there we've got a gravity assist there already to capture. It's that like faint like red dotted orbit. That's our gravity assist capture. So it looks like we've got it all lined up already. It's kind of like a Kcalbeloh assist, except the gravity of these binary pairs are so great that it's actually really easy to get a capture orbit off of if you do a slingshot off of the smaller star, which is Aralc B. It's like more of a red dwarf type star. So I'm just executing that maneuver right now. Alright, there we've got our capture. I'm just adjusting it so that the apoapsis of our resulting captured orbit, where the apoapsis of our captured orbit intersects the orbit of Ahneta, which is that yellow orbit near the outside of the system that I just selected as my target. And here we're pulling up on the binary system there. About to do our gravity assist off of the red dwarf. There we are, officially captured. And it looks like we already have an Ahneta encounter in a few orbits. That's why my patch conics there are going a little bit weird. Because it's not sure whether to show me this orbit or in a few orbits, whether I've encountered Ahneta or not. So I'm just doing an inclination burn to match my inclination with Ahneta real quick. That should make things a little bit clearer. It looks like I do have an encounter in two orbits. Yeah. So here's our flyby of the Ahneta system. I'm going to be doing another gravity assist off of the largest moon, or one of the larger moons in the Ahneta system, which is called Dale. I just set it as my target. This will be a similar situation to like a Slate gravity assist or a Kcalbeloh gravity assist in the Joule system that a lot of KSP players are familiar with. So I'm just adjusting that flyby there. And it looks like we're still not getting that encounter, so I might have to adjust just like where in my orbit I encounter the moon. Maybe just a little bit earlier, a little bit later, and we'll see if that works. So I'm encountering it a little bit later on in my flyby, and then we'll try to see if that works. Okay, there we got a captured orbit around Ahneta. It's that red dotted line again. Pretty elliptical orbit. That's good enough for me right now, so I'm just going to execute that maneuver real quick. Quick save. There we go. Looks like we've got our gravity assist all set up. Now I'm just seeing how much delta V it would take to circularize around Ahneta. It's a little bit more than I would like, so we might end up trying to set up 2 different flybys to lower my apoapsis, or I guess lower my orbit around the planet. And here's the Ahneta system. Alright, we're coming up on our flyby of Dale, which is going to slingshot us into that captured orb I've been talking about. Alright, cool. We're officially captured around Ahneta. Now I'm going to start looking for another encounter. This is the moon called Efil, this more like lathe type looking one. I'm going to set up another flyby, this time of Efil, and I'm going to use this second flyby to gravity assist me into a lower orbit again, just to save more fuel. So I'm just adjusting that now. So it's going to get me into that dotted green orbit that's kind of all the way down there. It's going to save me a lot of fuel, actually. Or I guess it's going to catapult me into that purple orbit there. So here we are flying past Efil, the habitable moon of the Ahneta system. Okay, now we have to look for an asteroid to set up a rendezvous with so we can refuel our interplanetary craft. So I just have to go into the tracking station and pick one out, start tracking it, then we can set it as our target, and yeah, we're going to do an inclination burn to match our inclination with the asteroid. Alright, looks like we've matched our inclination. Then I just have to drop my orbit down so that I intersect its orbit at a certain point. Then we can work on getting our close encounter. Alright, I just have to set up that close encounter now. I'll just wait a few orbits. That looks like that's not going to work. I'm going to run into Efil again. Okay, we'll just do this one more burn, and then we should have a close encounter on the night side of Ahneta. Alright, I lied. I guess I'll just be doing one more just to line up that close encounter a little bit better. And here I am in the rings right now. Hopefully I don't run into anything. Alright, looks like we got a pretty good close flyby of this asteroid. Looks like I'll have enough fuel to circularize and match its orbit, so that's good. We're cutting it pretty close though. There it is, highlighted in the distance, about 30 kilometers out. Just have to kill off my relative speed. Alright, now I just point towards the target, burn towards it. Kind of like standard docking procedure. There it is in view. Look at that view. Alright, now I'm just burning towards the asteroid. I'm going to arm my grabber arm so that we can catch it. Coming in at about 1 meter per second. Alright, we've docked with the asteroid. Now I'm just going to start that drill, fire up my radiators, and then start synthesizing that mined water into hydrogen fuel. And so I'll probably just warp ahead in just a second till I've got my ship all refueled. And then we will continue on to the asteroid moon of Efil, here in the rings of Ahneta. Alright, looks like we're all refueled. Just got to jettison that extra ore and retract those radiators, stop the drill, and then detach from the asteroid and continue on our way. Do a quick save real quick. Got to fire those retrograde thrusters real quick to back away from the asteroid. Alright, so I just set Enots as my target. We have to do another inclination adjustment. It's a really small, or I guess it's like a moon, or you could even say it's an asteroid. It's not that much bigger than the one that we just docked with. I mean, I guess it is. It's probably like 50 of those, but still, not that big, not spherical enough to like call it a true moon or a planet. It's a really small moon, I guess. And it's got a really small sphere of influence, so we need to be really accurate with our encounter. And it looks like I just got one in a few orbits after I execute this 140 something meter per second burn. Alright, we got an encounter there. There's our flyby. Alright, we're in the sphere of influence and we need to start burning retrograde here to capture, or else we're just going to fly on past it. There you can see Efil in the distance there. We're on the night side of Enots right now. Okay, looks like we're in orbital velocity, but we're crashing into the asteroid moon thing, so I have to just do a radial burn to adjust my trajectory. Okay, now I'm a little bit more circular. That's good. I'm just going to try to stay as far away from the asteroid as possible since it's like non-spherical. So at my apoapsis, I'm going to try to circularize as far away from the moon as possible. And that's where I'll just park my mothership and send a lander down. I'm going to wait a few orbits to start the landing. Okay. Just doing an EVA to get to my smaller lander here. This is my low gravity lander. We'll just do a quick retrograde burn. There we are. It's like setting us down in this valley here. This thing has like really, really low gravity. So we have more than enough fuel. But here we are right in the rings of Ahneta. It's crazy. One of the crazier spots in the Kcalbeloh system, in my opinion. Definitely worth the visit, I would say. And I just love that view of Efil there in the sky of Enots among the rings. Such a cool view. Like, isn't that cool? Check that out. So it's not as flat over here, so I'm just going to boost over to this section over here where it's a little bit more flat. Alright, we're touched down. I'll just show you some views. Here we are in the rings, watching the binary sunrise. And look at those clouds. I'm going to do a little EVA here. Do some science and plant a flag. Get some more screenshots. Here we are on Twilight. The Twilight side of Ahneta, I guess. Do some science. You can pause those, read them if you want. There's another flag there. Let me get back in. Alright, we're taking off, leaving Enots to go back up to the mothership. Okay, now that we've intersected our orbits, I just have to circularize and adjust it so that we can have a close encounter. There we go. There's our flyby. And there's our mothership about 300 meters out. We'll burn towards the target. Then eliminate our relative speed. And here we are, parked right by the mothership. Alright, so this is just about it for part 1 of my 2-part mission. In our next part, we're going to be going to the desert world Atpan, which has really cool, like, petroleum, kerosene, oil oceans. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.